Welcome, welcome. This is our 2021 spring live stream. My name is Millie Harmon. I'm the outreach coordinator for National Move to Amend. If you are new to Move to Amend or a dedicated supporter, today is the perfect opportunity to learn more, get campaign updates, and hear how you can plug in and support this movement. I am joined today by Move to Amend staff and board members of who we call the national team, as well as advocates and affiliate leaders from all across the country to share stories of why we moved to Amend. We are thrilled to announce that due to the generous donations of a handful of our grassroots advocates and affiliate leaders, we are kicking off a week-long donation match drive. Any donation that you make this week will be doubled up to $10,000. And a little bonus, if you make a donation during the live stream, you will be entered into a drawing for a Move to Amend t-shirt or water bottle. If you are new, Move to Amend is a grassroots coalition who relies on the support and contributions of individuals in many forms, from congressional lobbying to funding, from collecting petition signatures to gaining endorsements. This work is able to happen because of hundreds of thousands of individuals who believe in this, who actively participate, and who donate whenever they can. We are proudly grassroots funded and do not rely on big foundation funding, and therefore are able to preserve our political independence. To give you an idea, our average donation is just $40. So it really, really takes all of us. I also want to note that this past year has been particularly challenging and everyone has had to really dig in. All of our staff at some point last year and into this year were donating their time and working as volunteers to make sure that despite a drop in funding related to the pandemic, we could work at full speed ahead. So thank you, each and every one of you who make this work possible. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Keon Bliss to tell us more about what exactly Move to Amend is.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Keon Bliss. I'm the grassroots director for the Move to Amend Coalition. And just to give you a little bit of overview for those of you who aren't familiar with Move to Amend, we are a local grassroots organization, national nonpartisan grassroots organization of hundreds of organizations and hundreds of thousands of individuals committed to social and economic justice, ending corporate rule, and building a vibrant democracy that is genuinely accountable to all people, regardless of race, gender, or class, not just corporate interest. And to accomplish this vision, Move to Amend seeks to amend the US Constitution to unequivocally state that corporations are not people with inalienable human rights, the same as us, and that money is not equal to free speech under the First Amendment, so that it can be regulated in political campaigns and elections. And as a coalition, we began this movement over almost 12 years ago, actually, with just 12 people in the living room here in California before we launched the national campaign on January 21st, 2010. Which was the day the Supreme Court handed down its decision in Citizens United versus Federal Elections Commission. As of today, we're a national coalition of more than 470,000 people and growing every day. And while many organizations have risen to overturn Citizens United for very good reason, the root of the problem actually goes back long before 2010 and much deeper than just money and politics. In fact, for more than over 130 years, the Supreme Court has made a series of decisions that have extended inalienable constitutional rights to for-profit corporations and other artificial entities incorporated by state law under the First, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendments. And it's really core to us at Move to Amend as volunteers and as national leaders that as long as corporations are considered persons with inalienable human rights, the same as you and me, and that their political spending is considered protected speech, they'll be able to assert their rights and interests better than any real human being or our communities through sheer concentration of wealth. So it's really important that we fight to get not just the excessive special interest money and undue political influence by corporations out of the political process, but that our solution is comprehensive enough to leave for no loopholes. And that's why for the past 11 years, for the past 12 years, we've been advocating for the We the People Amendment, which was introduced this year, reintroduced this year as House Joint Resolution 48. And it's the only proposed amendment in Congress that would address both court-created doctrines of corporate constitutional rights, also shorthand for corporate personhood, and money equals speech, which are the very foundations of corporate rule. And that's one of the reasons why I myself have been involved with Move to Amend for going on 8 years now, because at the end of the day, whether it's we're demanding increased access to education, healthcare for all through single-payer healthcare or Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, all require addressing the unchecked power of corporations using the constitutional framework to claim and enable human rights the same as you and me. And without that, we can't really level the playing field to make sure that all of our respective movements for justice, particularly for me within the racial justice movement, I'm involved in a number of different actions from to making sure that Black Lives Matter, to police accountability, to having a participatory budgeting process at the city and county level. We have to really get to the root problems that are facing our current system in order to get a genuine grassroots participatory democracy that actually represents all people and represents the interests of the planet rather than just profit and property interests. And that's why it's my hope that if we can pass the We the People Amendment, we can actually level the playing field for all of our respective movements across the board. And actually open the door for having a real conversation, national conversation, of what a participatory democracy that puts people first and planet first actually looks like. And with that, I will turn it to the next speaker, who is which is Margaret Koster. No. I'm sorry, my bad.
That's okay. Hey, everybody. This is Caitlin Saposi-Belknap. I'm Move to Amend's National Director. I'm in Sacramento, and my pronouns are she and her. And I just wanted to jump in. I'm going to jump in periodically because we're doing this live stream in large part because we're trying to raise money. So I want to let people know how you can donate right now as you're listening to the speakers talk. You can go to movetoamend.org/donate. Make sure you do that on another tab or another window so you don't leave us. But just open up another one, go to movetoamend.org/donate. And I want to thank the people who donated already this morning. So as Millie said, if we can raise $10,000 this week, we will get it matched and we will come out of the week with $20,000. And we already have some people who jumped in and contributed this morning. So I want to thank them. I want to thank Carla from Salem, Oregon, and Kathy from Salem, Massachusetts. I didn't actually plan that. They donated almost at the same time from across the country with the same town name. Marion from Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Let's see, who else we got? Dave from DeKalb, Illinois. I'm not familiar with that place in Illinois, so I hope I said it right. Charles from Madison, Wisconsin. Arthur from East Setacut. Wait, hold on one second. Setacut, New York. I wasn't prepared. I should have looked at these places. I was like, oh, Salem, Salem. I can say them all. Bill from Dana Point, California. And Laura from Eureka, California. Heather from Vacaville, California. Steve from Austin, Texas. Walter from East Haven, Connecticut. And Diana from Carmichael, California. Julie from Anchorage, Alaska. And Frank from Mentor, Ohio. These folks and their contributions have brought us up to over $1,700, $1,777 to be exact. Remember, we need to get to 10,000. We have until Friday, but let's do as much of that as possible. So thank you to all of those folks. And if you donate now, we'll make sure to thank you on the air as well. Don't worry, we'll just say your first name and your town. So if you want to be more anonymous, it's not like we're going to out you, but we just want to appreciate you. So again, go to movetoamend.org/donate. And then I'm going to turn it over to Margaret.
Okay, I'm on, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Margaret Coster. I live in Willits, California, which is north of San Francisco, north of Santa Rosa. And I've been with Move to Men for 10 years. I'm the contact person here in Mendocino County, which is the county that my town is in. So why I love Move to Amend, or why I moved to Amend, is because it had gradually was becoming clear to me for over a number of years that corporations or outsized corporate power and influence were at the root of most of the problems I was concerned about in the political and social and economic sphere. So then I happened across a talk giving an analysis of how corporations came to have so much power, and it was one of those light bulb moments. Then I understood the structure and the system and the legal background of how all this power of corporations was gained. And lo and behold, there was an organization working to change that. So that's Move to Amend. And so things have changed and haven't changed. Our big job is educating people, because a lot of people understand that corporations are a problem, but they don't understand the structure and the framework behind it and how that power is maintained. And I think that's crucial. And that's why we need an amendment. Because another thing a lot of people don't know is that all this quote unquote laws that give corporations power were actually judicial decisions from court cases. There's never been a law passed giving corporations power. It's all been court cases. So we need an amendment, because only an amendment is Supreme Court proof. The Supreme Court cannot say that the Constitution is unconstitutional. So that's why the clarification of the correct role of corporations in our society and economy needs to be in the Constitution. And then Move to Amend as an organization, I really appreciate and admire for the analysis and also for the focus. Move to Amend stays very focused and very strategic, and sticks to the goal of the amendment and the education. And we have, although it's not as much as we might like at times, there has been a lot of progress. 55 people, Congress people in the House of Representatives have signed on to sponsor the We the People Amendment, and that's 55 more than we had when we started. So that's quite an accomplishment. And I can't think of much else to say at this time.
Thank you so much, Margaret. And she is in Northern California, Mendocino County. We forget as Californians that not everyone knows. I will turn it next to Tara.
Hi, everyone. This is Tara Ingram, she, her pronouns, and I am living in Sacramento, California, which is Northern California, kind of center of the state, just a couple hours from San Francisco into the east. And I'm a national board member at Move to Amend. I've also in the past been involved in the local Sacramento affiliate and in some committees and things like that. And my story is actually very much like Margaret's, and also very much the same kind of time frame. It was actually, I had no idea what corporate personhood was ages ago, nor that there was such a thing as corporate constitutional rights. And I remember while I was working on grad school, I wasn't able to participate in Occupy because the Occupy movement, because of grad school, primarily, it consumed my life. But I was seeing images, and they were educating me. And one image I saw was end corporate personhood. And I was like, what's corporate personhood? And so in my search, lo and behold, again, I found a talk that was happening in Sacramento, a barnstorming tour, and attended it, and everything just clicked into place in terms of understanding that. And similarly, I had been feeling really drained and spread out and overwhelmed by all of the issues that I cared about, and not having a sense of where I could put my energy to actually make a difference. And so this was like the puzzle piece falling into place, realizing that without ending corporate constitutional rights, nothing is going to happen substantially on any of those issues. So I got a really quick education on corporate power and how it actually works. And so the other piece that Margaret spoke to why I moved to Amend is related to the way that we work, which is not just, it's big enough, right? Let's pass an amendment. But what is real democracy? And it's like, I saw one t-shirt is, we the people means everybody. And we know that that's not the case right now. And so our work, we work in a way, and the analysis is in such a way that really is including all people, down, from the most marginalized across the board, the whole 99%, to use another Occupy concept that's a really useful one. So, and in terms of, that democracy piece, it's grassroots, it's bottom up, because systemic change doesn't come from top down ever. And so with people working across the country, people building democracy with each other on the street, in their neighborhood, in their communities, with all age groups, ideally all, across racial, age, socioeconomic, all sorts of human differences. People are learning and practicing democracy in supporting this amendment. So, that's what I can think of. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Tara. I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin to give us a rundown on our current campaign.
Before I do that, I'm actually going to thank some more people because we got some more donations in. So thank you to everybody who's donating. Again, you can go to movetoamend.org/donate and join the fun. I want to thank Yoni from Delray Beach, Florida. I want to thank Mark from Barrington, Rhode Island. I want to thank Sheila from San Jose, California. And let me actually refresh because I know there were a couple more donations that came in. Maybe I'll do those after I'm done. So Millie asked me to talk about our campaign that we're working on right now. So the We the People Amendment to the Constitution is what we call our amendment. It has been introduced in the U.S. House of Representatives as House Joint Resolution 48. So when you call your Congress member, that's what you should tell them, that they should co-sponsor HJR, House Joint Resolution 48. And Keon told us about what it does, but I see that there are some people who have joined since then. So it makes clear that only human beings have constitutional rights and that money is not speech, so that campaign spending can be regulated. And we have been working since the start of the year to secure co-sponsors in the House. This is the 5th time that the amendment has been introduced in the House of Representatives. So we have been plugging away. We started 5 Congresses ago with 3 co-sponsors. Margaret mentioned we got 55, but actually that number is 57 because there were a couple more that came on just last week when it was officially introduced through the administrative process in the House. So we are at 57 co-sponsors, counting Pramila Jayapal, who is our lead. And our goal is to get to 100. You can go to our campaign webpage at movetoamend.org/117 campaign, 117 because this is the 117th Congress. And you can see who our top targets are. If your member of Congress is listed there and doesn't have a thank you champion next to their name, that means they're not signed on yet. And they're one of our top picks to try and get there. And chances are, if they're on that list of top picks, that means we've already tried to meet with that office. And now we're in the process of following up and trying to apply the pressure, trying to make them come through. So you can help us do that. You can, if your rep is not on the list, That doesn't mean that we don't want to talk to them. It just means that they're not a top priority target, but we can still work with you to set up a meeting with some other constituents. One of the benefits of the new situation that we're in because of COVID has been that we can now do these meetings virtually. That just really wasn't a thing that Congress was in any kind of position to pull together and do before, but now they're used to it. So instead of having to travel to Washington, D.C. or even your local district office, and frankly, talking to the folks in DC is a little bit more favorable here because that's generally who it has to go through anyways. And so we can have those meetings from the comfort of your living room or your home office or your backyard, wherever you can get internet. You can be in the meeting. You can have other folks join you. And that's how we got the 57 that we have right now. And we're, a bit over halfway there, and we want to get the rest of them as soon as possible. So please join with us in that campaign. And when you donate this week, you're supporting that work. You're supporting the work to move it forward on the House, to move forward with the pressure that we're trying to apply to get it introduced in the Senate, and supporting the grassroots organizing and movement building that makes the pressure on these reps, because they're not going to do it on their own. We basically have all the people who will do it on their own. Now, everybody else is going to require pressure. That's going to require phone calls. That's going to require meetings as we're able to, go outside and be in public in a safe way. That's going to require showing up at their offices and letting them know that this is important to you, that this is critical to just about everything else that you support, whether it's climate change, trying to address racial justice, trying to, make it so that corporations are not able to pollute the environment, making it so that workers are paid a fair wage. All of the work that corporations do to lobby our government to try and move us toward an unjust future, the We the People Amendment is critical to lay the foundation so that we can pass legislation and regulations to protect ourselves from unchecked corporate power, which until we get an amendment, we won't be able to do. And so this connects to everything that you care about. And that's why we need you to lean in and help us support the organizing work. And if you're not in a position to put in your time, then we need you to put in your money. And as Millie has told us, the people who created that match fund to make it so that our donations will be doubled this week, it actually comes from our core volunteers who are already putting in their time. So support their work, match them, and make a donation. So I want to thank the rest of the folks before I turn it over to the next person. My computer is having a little bit of trouble with this whole live stream situation. So we're at $1,827 at this point. And I think I didn't say, give me just 1 second here. And while I'm looking this up, you can go open up another tab and go to movetoamend.org/donate. And that will be the place that you want to put in your donation. So I also want to thank, sorry, hold on. It's still going slow. Jeffrey from Los Angeles donated again. People who know who I'm talking about are going to be really impressed with that. He donated again this morning. Somebody that already helped contribute to the match fund. There it is. Okay, my computer is finally updating so I can thank these new people who just came in. All right, here we go. Almost there.
And don't forget, if you donate during this live stream, you get the added bonus. Well, you get a couple bonuses, right? Your donation will be doubled. And you get entered into a raffle for one of our fabulous Move to Amend t-shirts or water bottles.
Yeah, and I should have brought those with me. I should have grabbed one from the garage to show as a prop, but I didn't think of that until Millie said it. So I don't have one to show, but it can be a shirt of your choice. Tara, maybe you can show people the shirt that you've got on, because that's one of the options that people could choose from. That's our Free the People shirt. So I don't know what my computer's doing. I see that there's 3 new donations, but I'm having trouble getting to them. So I'm going to work on that. Let's pass it on to the next person, and then I'll jump in after them and thank these other folks.
All right. Well, Greg, would you please tell us a little bit more about, well, first introduce yourself, but then
Ooh, thanks,
I
Tara.
also would love for you to introduce and talk more about why we are particularly unique with our amendment in addressing all corporate constitutional rights.
Well, sure. Thanks, Millie. Thanks to everyone on the call, people tuning in whatever medium or form or format you may be spending a little bit of your time. Appreciate so much your attention over these minutes, half hour, hour, the whole time that we're on. So whatever the case may be, why corporate constitutional rights must be addressed. You've already heard, if you have been with us for the last 30 minutes or so, some compelling reasons why. If you're just coming on now, well, why it must be addressed is because it's a major problem, corporate constitutional rights. And quite honestly, quite frankly, nobody else, hardly anybody else is doing it. The number of groups that are working fundamentally on trying to end corporate constitutional rights, you could count on your fingers in one hand, and you know what? You'd have several fingers left over. That's the truth of the matter. There just are not any groups that are fundamentally doing it. Oh, now there are groups that are baiting and switching, those organizations that talk about sort of ending, really talk a good game, say, yes, our work, our reason why we're trying to elect somebody, the reason we're trying to pass a law, the reason we're trying to enact a regulation is because we're really fundamentally trying to control what corporations can do. Memo to those individuals who are saying it and who are hearing it: electing any person, changing or creating any law or enacting any regulation goes as far as they go, which, is something, but they don't fundamentally address corporate constitutional rights. As Margaret Coster, who was on here before, said, no law has ever been passed by any candidate of any political party at any level of government in any part of the country that has anointed corporations with constitutional rights. That has only happened through the courts. And that is the only reason it will be changed, is through an amendment. You can't do it, by simply passing any kind of law. Or a regulation. You have got to have a constitutional amendment. And so why it's got to be addressed is because it's a huge problem that affects everything, basically, from the healthcare we receive, the news that on major networks that we consume, the economic rules we follow, the entertainment we enjoy, the education we acquire, the food we eat, the laws, regulations we enact, the money we use, the politicians we elect, the jobs we have, the natural world we have left, which ain't much. And that's because of the plundering and because of the exploitation of largely corporate entities. They do a fantastic job at plundering two different sectors. One are people. That's what labor is, plundering people, slaves, and, underpaying people, not giving people benefits. That's a form of exploitation and plundering. Well, so is exploiting and plundering the planet by converting natural resources into stuff and then getting rid of all that stuff that we call toxic waste. That's an externality, not even incorporated into the regular sort of bottom line. There's a saying that a guy named Richard Grossman, who started Poclad, said that fish discover water last. Fish discover water last. Basically that means fish, they know nothing else but water. It's all around them, everywhere. So it's not different. It's not unusual. It's a given. So it is with sort of corporate rule, corporate dominance, corporate control. It's everywhere. And largely we don't even notice it. Now, it is becoming more noticed, and thankfully that is due to the efforts of Move to Amend through our education, through our advocacy, through our organizing, not just being inside the Beltway, but in trying to be at the grassroots, building support in communities all over. And that can only continue to happen through your support. So help us out. And, you know, how that support gets built isn't magically. It's not through saying Shazam. It's not just by wishing for it or praying for it. It's by spending energy doing it. And that means creating a movement. And part of what we do is, in fact, create a movement. And a couple of the specific ways we do that is through a couple of caucuses that have been going on for quite some time, and one that we're converting. One is a labor caucus, and the other was an interfaith caucus, and we're shifting it or pivoting it to be a ecological caucus. These caucuses are focused on trying to lift up groups, constituencies that we feel and historically has underscored are key to bringing about significant social change. Labor caucus, working people, that's been at the heart of many social changes fundamental throughout US history and global history. And when it comes to interfaith caucus, which we've had, people of faith, people of conscience, many of those individuals who have been part of our interfaith caucus have worked on environmental issues and have said, you know what, we have to really widen the circle and deepen the connections with people who are working on these issues. And quite frankly, that is who are people right now? Well, it's sort of everybody increasingly, but in particular, younger people. And so that is why Move to Amend is going to, you know, sort of when we're kind of reaching, and we hope it'll be very soon, that 100 co-sponsor threshold, that we will shift some of our energy, pivot some of our energy to re-up and amplify the work of our labor caucus and really dig deep in beginning this ecological caucus. So again, lots of ways that you are listening in to help us. The principal way today is, of course, to help us out financially, but also if you're interested in being part of the work, in reaching out to your congressperson, in being part of these caucuses, do contact us. Thanks.
We've got some more people to thank, if I might. And I also want to say that we are at $1,927. So let's make sure to get to 2,000 before the end of this live stream today. So we only just need a little bit, and that could be you if you go to movetoamend.org/donate. And remember that will give you an opportunity to win a t-shirt or a water bottle. I want to thank Bill from Dana Point, California, Karen from Loveland, Ohio, Judith from San Jose, California, Christian from Danville, California, and Danielle from Bellevue, Washington. Thank you so much to all of you. And if you're watching and you haven't yet donated, please do it now. Let's get to 2,000 before we have to sign off. Who's next, Millie?
Well, thanks for the update, and thank you everybody who keeps moving our thermometer up. I want to welcome Mary to introduce herself, tell us a little bit of why she supports Move to Amend, as well as about her recent lobby experience.
Hi, good to see everyone, and thanks for inviting me. My name's Mary Livingston. I'm in Langdon, New Hampshire. I'm a longtime member of Move to Amend. I joined in 2011, shortly after Citizens United was passed. I was so horrified. I'm a lifelong activist and worked really, really hard during the 60s and 70s for a lot of the progressive causes and social change. And when Citizens United was passed, I was just stunned that this could happen. I could see all our hard work just going down the drain. And with all this corporate money that was going to be unleashed into our government. So I've been working with Move to Amend all these years, and also with local organizations. I'm a volunteer, originally from Massachusetts, and I recently, with Move to Amend's help, I recently was able to persuade our Senator Ann Custer to co-sponsor the HJR 48. And really, really excited to get her support. we need more co-sponsors. And because, as Greg has said, the only way to fix what has happened is through an amendment. And I'm so passionate about this. Move to Amend has been steadfast and so well organized. And that has been one of the reasons why I continue to be a volunteer and really enjoy working with the group. Having worked with other smaller organizations and starting organizations, I realize how hard it is to get people together, how hard it is to build an infrastructure. It takes time and money and a lot of people. And the only way we're going to get an amendment passed is if we have this kind of organization that Move to Amend provides. Move to Amend was so helpful in working with me and Ann Custer and getting her to co-sponsor the amendment, the legislation in the Senate. And knowing that they were behind me and helping me do this and connecting me with other people was just so helpful. And this is another reason why I continue to support Move to Amend and feel very privileged to be a volunteer and work with them. In order to get this amendment passed, it is going to take so much effort, and we have to work together, and we have to have a good, strong organization behind us to make it happen. Otherwise, it's like rolling a boulder uphill. So Move to Amend has tremendous resources. They have educational materials. They have people who can help us get the attention of our legislators, as well as educate other people and get other people involved. So it's been a real privilege to work with Move to Amend over these years. I just want to echo one other thing that Greg was talking about. Over the last 10 years, any legislation that is passed is 70% of it is what the rich people want. What the majority of people want, only 30% of that gets passed. And that has to do with money and the money that corporations are putting into all the messaging that people hear. So this is why we need an amendment to get rid of this whole concept that money is free speech and corporations are people. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk today.
Great. Thank you so much, Mary. And if you weren't here earlier, you can actually join the campaign in lobbying your representative to co-sponsor HJR 48, the We the People Amendment. And if you aren't already plugged in, please go to our website, movetoamend.org/117campaign. And this is the fifth time that this amendment has been introduced into the House of Representatives. Our goal for this year is 100 co-sponsors. We do have a target list, but if you have someone in mind, your representative, you think you get on board, we want you. So please check out that website, and it is also in the bottom of our screen. And as Mary said, it is a critical thing that we are not told as citizens that, we have not only the right, but the responsibility to tell our legislators and representatives what we want from them. So thank you so much for bringing Representative Ann Custer on board to supporting and being a co-sponsor of the We the People Amendment. I'm going to turn it back over to Caitlin to give us some more updates.
Couple people to thank. I just want to make sure that everyone is clear. First of all, so the amendment has been introduced in the House, not the Senate yet. So all co-sponsors are in the House. And thank you so much, Mary, for your really good work to get a new person who wasn't even on our target list. And yet we secured her. So that's really oftentimes what it takes is just hearing from some constituents, and that's why we need you to help us make that contact. It doesn't work as well when it's just our staff doing it, and so folks on the ground can make all the difference, and let us help you the way that we helped Mary to make it happen for your Congress member in the House of Representatives. Okay, so just a couple more people to thank, but I really especially want to appreciate Carol from St. Paul, Minnesota for signing up to give monthly. So she made a donation now as part of this campaign, but she's also pledged to give that donation again every month to support Move to Amend as a sustainer, which is so important as a grassroots group that really doesn't get large contributions very often. The little ones all adding up every month and knowing that that'll be there so we don't have to do these pledge drives every single month is so important. So if you are in a position to be able to give monthly like Carol, we would really appreciate it. I also want to thank another special person who is my mom, Elena from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Thank you so much for making a donation. Appreciate you being here and being a supporter of Move to Amend from the beginning. So right now we are at $2,055. So we made it to 2,000. I think we're supposed to go for an hour. So let's say 2,500. Can we get to 2,500 before we're done with this live stream? Go to movetoamend.org/donate to kick in and help us get there. And also share this. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, share this link right now and ask your friends to come join in. They can learn about Move to Amend and why you're a supporter, because we'll tell them all the good reasons to support Move to Amend. And let's get more people here. All right, Millie, who's next?
Well, thank you again. I am thrilled to introduce Mike Potters, who is going to mix up our event for you and bring us some music. And please introduce yourself, Mike, as well as your role and history there in Florida with Move to Amend.
Okay, well, hi, my name's Mike Potters, and I'm one of the active participants or co-leaders of the Northwest Florida affiliated chapter of Move to Amend. We've been going for, pretty much since the beginning. We did get endorsements and endorsements to the amendment from the Pensacola City Council, the Escambia County Board of Commissioners, the City of Milton, and well, that's as far as we got with our localities. There's one more locality we tried, but we got a little difficult there. We ran into problems where the members of the city council were actually included people who were national corporate lobbyists for some of the big corporations, and that got to be a little bit difficult. And our congressperson is missing. And he may be more missing than ever shortly. One can only dream. Matt Gaetz. And I wanted to bring you one song that I think is very, very much in the spirit of what we do. It's a song that is one of the very early ones that Phil Oakes put together back in like about 1961, 1962. It's more of a positive, optimistic song than some of the things he did later, which was some very strong, strident, angry protests. But part of the reason for that is because the commercial publications and the recording industry left out the last verse. And he agreed to that at the time, and it was a good career move, and it was very good. But the word got out, and the word got out before actually then, because it was published in broadsides before then. Power and the Glory by Phil Oakes. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the meadows and the mountains and the sand. Walk through the valleys and the river and the plain. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here's a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom Her glory shall rest on us all. From California, Kansas, and the Carolinas too, Virginia and Alaska, from the old to the new, Texas and Ohio and the California shore. Tell me who could ask for more? Here is the land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Her glory shall rest on us all. Yet she's only as rich as the poorest of the poor, only as free as the padlocked prison door, only as strong as our love for this land, only as tall as we stand. Here is the land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Her glory shall rest on us all. But this land is still troubled by those who teach to hate. They twist away our freedoms and they twist away our fate. Law becomes their weapon, treason is their crime. We can stop them if we try. Here is the land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Her glory shall rest on us all. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the meadows and the mountains and the sand. Walk through the valleys and the river and the plain. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Her glory shall rest on us all. On us all. Phillips, Power and Glory. Glad to be with you and honored to be a part.
That was awesome, Mike. Our volunteers have so much talent, and I loved hearing that song. One of the things that Move to Amend, and then some of the groups that helped start Move to Amend used to say is like, let's make real the promise of American democracy, because we've never really had an actual real democracy for everybody, but there is that promise and that commitment that is in all of our rhetoric that we could make real. And so thank you for reminding us of that with Phil Oakes. I want to thank a few more people and then turn it back over to Millie to tell us who's next. We're getting closer to our goal for the live stream here of 2,500. And so thank you to everybody who is donating. You can go to movetoamend.org/donate to join the fun. Want to thank Lawrence from San Leandro, California, and also for all the work that you do, Lawrence, one of our tireless volunteers from East Bay Move to Amend. Want to thank Richard from Richmond, Virginia, and Larry from Burlington, Vermont. So We are at, oops, I just clicked away, but what is it? $2,208. We don't have very much to go. If you make a donation now, you can help us get to $2,500. And remember that you'll also get entered into our raffle to win a t-shirt or a water bottle as our thank you to you for supporting Move to Amend in this time. And your donations will be matched. So every one of those donations, really where we're at so far for the week is $4,416 raised so far for Move to Amend. So thank you everybody for helping us get there, and let's keep going. Who's up next, Millie?
Well, I'm very excited to bring you Jessica, who is actually joining us while camping. So extra thanks for that.
My pleasure. Hey, everybody. I'm Jessica Munger. I'm Move to Amend's program director. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, but right now I am near Mammoth Lake camping. So sorry about the noise, but it's really beautiful outside. And I was thinking today just about how grateful I am to have access to wild spaces and to be able to, enjoy nature like this, and how important the We the People Amendment is for being able to preserve, the sovereignty of the land and of communities who are trying to help care for land and, prevent things like fracking and other kinds of devastation. So I'm feeling really excited right now about this work. And I always feel that way when I get to go in nature. I get to tell you about a couple of my favorite things about Move to Amend. So Move to Amend is a really unique organization because we are working on this constitutional amendment to end corporate power and money as speech. And at the same time, we have a strong commitment to anti-oppression and to understanding that corporate power is related to all other struggles for justice, and anything that we really care about is related in some way to resisting corporate power. And so from the beginning, we've had a strong commitment to work to dismantle white supremacy and patriarchy and other forms of oppression as we're working to dismantle corporate constitutional rights and the other tools that corporations use to harm us and our communities and the planet. And so we see our work as inherently related to the struggle for Black lives, or, anything else that people are on the front lines resisting the violence of corporate power, that's related to our work as well. And so since the very beginning of Move to Amend, we decided that would be a commitment. And the ways that we try to make good on that commitment include a lot of education. It's been talked about a lot during this live stream that education is a very core component of the work that we do in all areas. So one of those areas is anti-oppression. How can we understand how racism, patriarchy, all of these things impact our organizing and our movement? And how can we work to dismantle those things so that we can strengthen the movement for liberation, which is inherently related to this amendment movement. And we see this as a very big picture. So that's a commitment we have. And one of our educational resources is the Movement Education Program, which you can find at movetoamend.org/education. And it's a program we've had for many years to help make good on our commitment to ongoing learning and learning movement history so that it can inform the work that we do towards the amendment and in solidarity with other parts of the movement. So the Movement Education Program is free, it's online, it's self-paced, you can do it yourself, you can do it with a group. So all Move to Amend volunteers, staff, board members, interns, anyone goes through the Movement Education Program so that we can be always in conversation, in relationship, and intentional about the ways that we're building our organizing communities and the movement that we're a part of. So please do check that out and know that a lot of the work that we do is educational. And so your giving to Move to Amend directly supports our developing materials and being able to get out in public and talk about not just very important anti-oppression and movement building work, but also educating about corporate power and all the different ways that it manifests. So education is huge, and we can do that work because people give to make it possible. I also want to talk about a people's constitution. So you may remember in the fall last year, we held a virtual People's Movement Assembly, which is a gathering. We had hundreds of people come together to imagine what it would be like to have a constitution that worked for people and planet and not just corporations and billionaires and special moneyed interests. And it was so powerful. We've been having this conversation for over 10 years. We've been saying this amendment is so important and it's necessary. And also there's other problems with the Constitution that we could address in order to make real, like Caitlin said, the promise of American democracy, right? And so in educating ourselves about past movements, about history, about politics, and integrating that into our strategy, and then seeing the Constitution as a bigger piece of this puzzle even, that's how we're able to remain focused and also keep the bigger picture in mind. So it's super important that we're able to focus and also see the larger pictures there. So you can check out peoplesconstitution.org and please do sign up so that you can be notified when we have more PMAs and have more work coming out about that, which we will later this year. Let's see. So I just also would love to refer you back to, if you haven't seen it already, Legalized Democracy is our short documentary that you can watch for free on YouTube. And it really tells you about the history of how corporations were given constitutional rights through the Supreme Court and how at the same time, human beings and the environment were struggling to be recognized under the law. So these things are big, right? These are big, deep conversations, and it's so important that there's someone, an organization, and a bunch of people doing this educating work. And this work has to be funded. And we are not getting giant dollars from, foundations and corporations and political parties. We need people who understand that this work is so important. So we have $300 to get to our goal today. That's not much. We can do $300, I really think. And you know what? I'm feeling inspired. I've talked myself into it. I will donate right now. How about that? Okay. So if I will do that right now. I'm going to get my credit card. I'm in my motorhome right now, but let's do that. So have someone do it with me. It'll be fun. We'll go to movetoamend.org/donate. $300 left. We can do that. No problem. So let that talk about the educational work inspire you to give. It is one of the most important things we could be doing right now. And thank you to all of you who are out there in your communities, educating, doing the movement education program, and just being such good movement builders. Thank you. And thank you so much to everyone who is investing in that educational work and the resources that come out of that. So right now it looks like we've got a total of $2,208. Okay, we're getting there. So I'm gonna send this donation now. I hope you will too. Thank you so much.
Ooh, another credit card coming out. We'll get yours out too while we continue talking. And thank you, Jessica, so much for really underlying Move to Amend is so much bigger than getting money out of politics. And so often issues are simplified to overturning Citizens United. But you know what? We are building a movement for democracy. We are trying to create a democracy that has never existed in the US before. Because fundamentally, when we give constitutional rights to corporations, it negates our own. It negates those of the environment. So please join us in supporting the continuation of this work so we can continue getting into our communities, educating, organizing in solidarity with those on the front lines of struggle. This work is pressing right now on so many levels. So please take a moment to also share this live stream from all of your social media platforms. This is a great way for those who have never heard of Move to Amend to get involved. Also, for those of you who are maybe a few years, to get back on board, figure out where you can plug in. Can you get involved in our lobby work? Can you share the petition? Can you make a donation? That will be doubled.
She did it. Jessica put in the money. I see her right there. Thank you, Jessica, for making good. So Jessica did, Mary did as soon as she got off. So Mary helped get a congressperson and then she made a donation. So be like Mary. Get involved. And right now you can give a donation. We really want to get to 2,500 before we have to end the live stream, which is exactly supposed to end now, but I know we have a little bit more to go. So you're in luck. You got a little bit more time. $2,286 is what we've raised. And we want to get to 2,500 to start this Monday off well. And we have a week to get 10,000 so that we can maximize it and actually make $20,000 before the end of the week.
And surprise, we're going to go for another half an hour. We actually have
have I been saying that wrong?
Coming on. So don't be sad if you just shared the link. Your friends will still be able to get on, make a donation, have the opportunity for it to be doubled, and to enter a prize drawing for a Move to Amend t-shirt and water bottle. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Shelly, who, despite having technical difficulties, is joining us via cell phone. Thank you so much.
I'm on my cell phone data. Sorry, my head is cut off. I actually have a kid's chair on top of I'm very dedicated to this campaign. Let's just say that. So thanks everyone who has donated so far and is helping us reach our goal today of 2,500, which will be doubled. It looks like we've got a couple hundred, 250 left to go. So I also pledge to make a donation after I am finished talking to help us in that pursuit. So thanks everyone who's tuning in. So I wasn't able to listen to a lot of this because of my technical difficulties, but I'm sure that it was mentioned that, we are now officially in the 117th Congress, House Joint Resolution 48, the We the People Amendment, as of last week, and with 55 co-sponsors, not including Representative Pramila Jayapal, who is the lead sponsor. And that's really exciting. It's the strongest start that we've ever had coming into a new Congress. And this is our 5th Congress. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
5,
yeah. So that's really exciting. But, we worked really, really hard and really aggressively. So the folks that we have were mostly people we targeted and because of, past support or support of other bills that would indicate that they would be likely to sign on to this. But those who haven't, it's, we do need to talk about what's next, right? And we have a strategy for that, but, it's time to escalate, right? And the folks that haven't signed on, we all need to be more aggressive and persistent, especially those who have supported in the past or those who have never been educated on this. It's, there's a good chance that, your rep has never even heard of us before. And you could be the one to educate them. And we, provide all of that support. But I think it's really important to talk about what it's going to take beyond just the phone calls and the, social media posts and even lobbying. It's going to take, in a lot of cases, not just for the congressional organizing, but for the movement building and public education that we will need to have a movement powerful enough for this to pass, is direct action. And that's what I want to talk about today, because that is kind of the next phase that we need to start thinking about as we're trying to get to not only our goal of 100 co-sponsors in 2021, but ultimately passage of the We the People Amendment in Congress, through Congress. So I just want to tell a little story. In 2018, we had a national day of action that was called Free the People. And it was all over the country. People participated in this where they would lobby their rep, schedule a meeting, and then also do some sort of demonstration outside of their office. And since my rep was already a co-sponsor, we looked to a neighboring district. I'm not going to name names, but this person is, a Democrat, but very, very corporate funded, and his father is in prison for campaign finance violation. So it felt, pretty ambitious, but we did get the meeting scheduled. We had constituents there, and we organized with other community members who were working on different issues that connected to this. So we had folks who were with Medicare for All. We had folks who were with like housing organizations, and also climate action organizations. And so everybody, after we had the meeting with the reps staffer, we held an action. We had the bullhorn. We had, 30 people. We were chanting. We got asked to leave the property by somebody whose heart wasn't in it and kind of let us stay for a while. And we had different people speak on why we need the We the People Amendment and Medicare for All, or why we need the We the People Amendment and the Green New Deal. And it worked. We did that. And this representative who I don't know if they otherwise would if we hadn't made noise outside their office and made it clear we'll be back. And this person signed on. So it really speaks to the importance of direct action being willing. Of course, that's not the right strategy. If you have a congressperson who actually seems kind of, interested and wants to learn more, and you're getting the vibe that, it doesn't always make sense in every situation, but when there are a lot of situations where that is the necessary escalation. And so we will be needing to think about that as we move forward after the 117th Congress to Amend campaign. Also, when we're talking about connecting with other, kind of fronts of struggle, whether it's healthcare justice or environmental justice, the big, bold legislation, that is needed to address these injustices, like Medicare for All, like the Green New Deal. These, if, they have a lot of popular support, and there is a pretty good chance that at some point in the near future, it's gonna be, a thing that we're gonna be potentially passing. If that happens and we don't have the We the People Amendment, these bills are extremely vulnerable. Corporations, like we've said at other points, it's not just about Citizens United. It's not just about money in politics. It's about corporations having constitutional rights that they exclusively use against us when we're trying to do anything that is good or right. They can flex those rights, and they, often almost always win, So if it, threatens their right to future profits, there's all kinds of different ways that they find to exert these rights that they never should have had to begin with. And so something like Medicare for All or the Green New Deal could pass, and then it could end up getting completely gutted in the courts. And so it's really important that in our messaging, when we're talking to people, that we make those connections so that, the relevance of the We the People Amendment is crystal clear. It's not just some theoretical thing. It's not just about getting big money out. It's about democracy, and it's about, the things that we want to see happen, that they actually do, and that we're not up against another David and Goliath fight after we just won one, right? So I think, that's
and listen to that meowing to amend in the background from Lucy and Lola, meowing their hearts out to amend.
Well, actually, that is not my cats. That is a game that my 5-year-old is playing on his tablet, and I'm really sorry about the distraction.
You should have just gone with it instead it was them.
Yeah, well, I got a lot going on here, so that's... Anyway,
No
so thank you to everyone who's donated. I don't know if any more have rolled in since then, but
I have a couple more people to thank. Yeah.
How much more do we have to go?
All right, let's see. Well, Greg, thank you. I think Greg was maybe inspired by Jessica. So, and keep in mind that the folks who you're seeing on the screen here who are Move to Amend staff who are donating here today also already give monthly. And we worked for 6 months for free when we all had to be laid off last year due to financial difficulties. And we didn't want that to slow down our momentum. So we've just kept at it. Working despite being not paid. And so I just want to thank everybody. And Shelly, you said you were going to give thank you for that. Catherine from East Elmhurst, New York, wanted to say thank you to her. And then Jessica, like I said, did go ahead and donate. So we're in a little bit of a lull, though. We haven't had donations in the last couple minutes. We're at sorry about that plane. We're at $2,364, and we want to get to $2,500 before the top of the hour and the end of this live stream. So please go ahead and make your donation now at movetoamend.org/donate. Remember that it will be doubled. Remember that it's going to go and help support the work that we're doing to move the We the People Amendment forward in Congress and the movement that we're building against corporate rule. And you also will then also be in the drawing to win a t-shirt or a water bottle if you donate during this live stream as well. So you'll get perks, but really the donation goes to support our work, and that's what it's really for. And we thank you so much for supporting us. I'll pass it back over to Millie.
So I'm going to welcome Sandy. Please introduce yourself, where you're calling in from, and anything you want to tell us about why you moved to Amend and your local work.
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay. I saw some heads nodding. Great. Yeah, I am from Central Ohio. I live in Columbus, Ohio, which I love despite what's happening here. And I want to talk about Move to Amend and why I support it. But first, let me preface my reasons for my support for Move to Amend by asking a question to everybody who's listening. How else are we going to have a democracy that works without getting to the roots of why democracy is not working in this country? That's what Move to Amend does. We get at the roots. So I really want to know what others think about this, because I don't see how the current situation is sustainable without a constitutional amendment that puts people before corporations. I don't see how this country can continue on the way we think it should be or want it to be or whatever, unless we have people before corporations. And I really do want to know what others think about this, because like I said, I don't see how the current situation is sustainable. Think about it. How many requests do you get? Do you personally, just think about it, do you get for donations to charities that you support? Maybe you've supported for a long time. Important foundations and groups that do good work around the country, around the world. To people's movements, to non-corporate media, which is always struggling for funds but do a phenomenal job. Friends, family, and even strangers in need. How many times they come to ask you for some, hey, can you spare a dime? I heard that GoFundMe is now one of the largest saviors of people going into debt over health matters. We also get requests for donations to candidates running for office. Okay, that's always been a thing, but now we get it. The campaigns never end, and we're being asked for donations to people who don't represent us in other states, but we're like, oh, we got to do this. Some of you may also be juggling schedules to attend rallies, marches, lectures, films, and fundraisers and other events. All worthwhile actions that we need to do, want to do, but wouldn't have to do if democracy worked in this country. I mean, why are we going out and saying, hey, don't separate those parents from those children. Hey, let's have a discussion on fracking or the environment or whatever. No, we don't have these things. So that's why we have these rallies. That's where we're forced to go. So one of the things I really like about Move to Amend is that our focus is on ensuring that the people are deciding the policies rather than what those policies are. I want people in the driver's seat because I have faith in the people. The vast majority of us are for basic human common sense policies. I'm talking about healthcare, racial and gender justice, the sanctity of our constitutional rights to vote, and our freedoms of speech, and the safety of kids from inhaling toxins or drinking leaded water, to having good schools, to having food on the table, or maybe even a table in a home that they can call, that they don't have to worry about having to leave. People are concerned about the atrocious gap between the rich and the poor, high rates of incarceration, the selling of our personal data and other privacy issues, the homeless rate. And then there is COVID-19. I was in Chicago about a year ago. I grew up in Chicago. I go back there somewhat frequently. And I just remember last time I was there were people in tents under the bridges. I guess that's a common sight today. It's terrible. Here in Columbus too. The media and many politicians, but not Pramila Jayapal and many others, tell us that we are divided. We are not. Americans are not divided. Look up any poll you like, and you'll find that 60, 70, even 80% of people, sometimes even 90% of people agree that that the issues I just mentioned, healthcare, incarceration, homelessness, these are big issues that we need to attack. So, great. We have a consensus on this. Wonderful. So are politicians working on these issues? Certainly they are, right? Across the country, state, local, and federal officials are instead rolling out bills that none of us have asked for. Voter suppression laws, anti-protest bills. You have state of government officials passing laws to deny its working class people a few more bucks that don't even come from state coffers, but from the federal government. But they don't want to give them up to the working poor. It doesn't make any sense to me. Shouldn't they be working on getting everyone food, housing, healthcare, safe water, air and soil, and hey, even broadband? I mean, it's communications. They should, but they are not. And to protect their privileges of doing so, they are hot on bills to gerrymander districts, suppress votes, and arrest those who disagree with them. While they are doing that, I get more requests for more donations and for more meetings and rallies and other actions over issues that should not be issues and would not be if the people were in charge. Americans want all people, whether they agree with us or not, to have the opportunity to speak our minds, vote for their preferred candidates, and live without fear of want, harm, or injustice of any sort. This is why I don't think what's going on, the current situation, is sustainable, and why I think we need Move to Amend. I'll continue being involved with other issues because we need to be out there. But I do not see this, as I said, sustainable. Not against billionaires and zillionaires who keep making even more money every time you turn around. And what do they do with that money? They buy the media, government, school, financial industries. And you want to complain? They also have the courts. Makes no sense. That's why we're going along with this. So I'm for Move to Amend because it gets the reasons for the current situation, one that is unsustainable. Something has to give. I'm putting my money on the people and into Move to Amend to make that happen. Thanks for doing this, guys.
Sandy, thank you so much for all of the work that you do and for joining us today.
So frustrated with what's happening. It doesn't have to be this way. It does not have to be this way.
Absolutely. All right, Caitlin, can you give us some more updates? Has anything else trickled in?
Yep. Jeffrey from LA made another donation and Shelly made her donation. So thank you to both of them. And that actually puts our total at over 2,500. So 2,624. I still think we should try to get to, I want to keep on going because this is what will set the tone for how the rest of the week goes. We want to raise $10,000 in a week, which we have done before, but we don't do very often. Normally it's at the end of the year. Or if we're in some kind of major crunch, and we wanted to not be in a major crunch this year and to be sustainable and on top of it. And so far, so good. And so that's why this spring pledge drive is so important. And so I'm hoping that maybe, in the next 10 minutes, we can get to 2,700. We need a couple more donations. How about people who have not been up on the screen here? Those of you who are out there. And remember that I'm ferociously writing names on scraps of paper so that we can do the drawing for the water bottle and the T-shirt. So there'll be one of each. And actually, if you really want a water bottle, we could give 2 water bottles. We can make it work. So your choice. You can get a T-shirt or a water bottle if your name is chosen. We'll pick 2 people out of the folks who gave during this pledge drive today. So right now your odds are pretty good. And let's at least make it to 2,700, which means that we need another $75, $76 before the top of the hour, which we could totally do. Isn't amending the Constitution to end corporate personhood and getting money out of politics worth $75 $6 to you all, it certainly is to me. Let's make it happen. I'm gonna go back to writing names on pieces of paper so that I can do this giveaway and get everybody's name in there. But I'm gonna pass it back to you, Millie.
So thank you everybody who has joined today, sharing your stories, as well as I really want to take a moment to thank Alfonso. And let me just welcome you to the stage. Let yourself introduce yourself. He is the Wizard of Oz behind all of our Move to Amend productions. So thank you so much for doing that. Alfonso, please introduce yourself.
Of course, thank you. It's my pleasure. Yeah, my name is Alfonso, pronounced he, him, his. And well, I'm originally from Brownsville, Texas, although currently I'm living in State College, Pennsylvania. And well, I joined Move to Amend about 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years ago. And as it's been said by many others, corporate rule and corporate greed has many faces. Personally, what brought me into activism was the climate crisis. As I mentioned, I was born and raised in Brownsville, Texas, which is a coastal town in the southernmost tip of Texas. And as you can imagine, it's affected tremendously by climate change during hurricane seasons. And just pretty much overall, we joke around saying that we only have like 2 seasons, one being an extended summer and the other one just like a few weeks of winter. After trying to get my congressperson to pass green legislations, I started to realize that the real reason why this congressperson didn't support anything that was environmentally conscious was because it was not in the best interest of big oil and big companies in the area. And that's about the time when I learned about Move to Amend and its proposed amendment. And just like Tara, I think, said, prior to Move to Amend, I had no clue about what corporate personhood was. But as part of my internship, I learned that and so much more that it wasn't taught to me on high school or even college. So as a Move to Amend movement education program graduate myself, I can attest to the tremendous value of that alone. So I would invite everyone to check out the self-paced and always free movement education program, which could be found at movetoamend.org/education. But that is not all that Move to Amend does. They're really organizers, agitators, and comrades always ready to show solidarity with a whole lot of social causes and issues. And they empower everyday citizens to lobby their representatives, which is a huge thing. But they are also visionaries, and they were ahead of the problem since 11 years ago when the Citizens United ruling came up. So they've been planning what's next, the best long-term solution for getting big money out of government and ending corporate personhood. And as it's been mentioned, the amendment is the best way to do that. But as you can imagine, that entails a lot of work, and it won't be easy, especially with mega corporations and their deep pockets and big interests at stake, which is why we really need everyone to step up and help us fight, keep up the fight. I'm already a monthly donor, but like my peers, I'm going to put the money where on this movement, because I really think that this is a core issue that we all need to be focusing on if we really want to have a fighting chance, a straight shot of having real democracy someday in this country. Pass.
Thank you so much, Alfonso. And Greg, you wanted to respond to a couple things. But I also want to say, we made our goal. More details to come.
Okay, but you can still also donate as well. Let's see how high
our
we can
daily
get.
goal. Our daily goal.
Our daily
not
goal.
the prize
Our daily
goal.
goal. Well, and we could every time we've met our goal, then I'll just raise it, right? So let's say that we still want to get it, and there's 5 more minutes for you to get in on either getting a T-shirt or a water bottle as part of the raffle. So we'll let Greg go, and then we'll do this raffle. I've got everybody who's donated so far's name in the hat, but I have blank slips of paper here ready to go and write your name if you give a donation in the next minute or 2 or 3.
And again, if you're seeing this after the fact, our donation match drive is running all the way through Friday. So please share this opportunity with your friends. It is, it doesn't come often that we have the opportunity to actually double your contribution. So please take advantage.
Well, I just wanted to add, based on sort of inspired by Sandy and the question she asked at the beginning of her comments, I have a question as well. After, I don't know, years, decades, basically, of efforts by groups from the local level, state level, federal level to rein in corporate money, campaign contributions from well-to-do individuals, from the rich and super rich, on the one hand, and decades worth of efforts to try to, control or put a rein around corporate abuses, having them through regulations, through asking them to have voluntary codes of conduct, asking nicely, being outside and doing vigils, prayer gatherings, giving awards to CEOs, letting corporations regulate themselves. How are we doing? How things, are things any better on the controlling money front, in controlling corporate abuses front? It's gotten worse. And it's gotten worse because we've been nickel and diming this. We can't keep nickel and diming this. We have to fundamentally address this fundamental problem. That's what we're doing, and you can help us out. Many of you have helped us out in a lot of ways, continue to help us out, because we can't afford to nickel and dime, both strategically and, quite honestly, financially. Though we do quite well with the few nickels and dimes that we do get.
Well said. We do make it work. So, Millie, is there anything else you want to say before I do this drawing?
I just want to express my mega gratitude for everybody who has contributed today, with financially, but also all of the people who have joined, you've heard from, and the many hundreds of thousands of folks you haven't heard from, who have committed their support to moving the We the People amendment forward, as well as all of the associated education that is absolutely necessary to getting this passed. So thank you.
I want to acknowledge Millie for coordinating this and all your work helping to make this possible. And, Millie does our fundraising coordination, but she also does organizing too. So that really is a good example of, how we are at Move to Amend. Maybe it was a little bit of hyperbole to say nickels and dimes, but not much. What we have been able to accomplish on our tiny little budget is so much more than your typical national organization. And it's because we really care. And it's because we draw on our friends and our family and our community. So before I do this drawing, I want to thank a couple people who gave generous donations there at the end. One of them being Millie's mom, Susan from Cottonwood, Arizona. So two mamas. And thank you so much for your support, Susan. And then Colin from Austin, Texas, and then Alfonso gave a donation as well. We're really committed to seeing this happen. And I used our pledge drive for our little community station up in Northern California when I lived up there. And, that was typical. People get caught up in the moment. But the reality is that there are thousands of more people who also donate, who are not just right here. But we need more. So if you could, during this week, make sure to give a donation so that we can get it matched. And then share this, ask your friends. When you make the donation, you'll be prompted to a page where you can share that you have donated to your social media, and ask your friends and family to join you. Explain to them why ending corporate constitutional rights is so important and critical to all the other work that we're trying to do. If we don't have control of our government, if our government continues to be working for corporations instead of the people, then we're going to just continue on in the wrong direction. And at this point, the planet cannot sustain us to do that. So it really is life or death. Maybe not tomorrow, but sooner than we think if we don't get it together and take responsibility. We owe that to the whole world because of how important and influential and powerful our government is here in the United States. And most of the rest of the world doesn't understand that the American public doesn't really have meaningful say over our government. So we have to wrest it from them. So thank you, everybody, for supporting us today. And we will be doing another live stream at the end on Friday. So you can tune in then at noon Pacific, right, Millie? Tune in then, find out how we've done, where we're at, and help us reach that goal and where we'll go next. That doesn't just have to do with raising money. And that's the other thing, is that so much, when you're on our email list, so much of what you hear from us is not, we don't send fundraising appeals every day. We're doing this now in this concentrated way so that we can go back to doing the work, which is, what this is all about for us. So, I want to acknowledge, I didn't realize that Marion, whose name I shouted out, she's Greg's mother-in-law. So thank you to all the mamas who are supporting their kiddos, no matter what age we are. All right, let's do this. So for the two prizes, we've got Larry K. I don't remember what place people were from, but that's why Burlington, Vermont. So Larry from Burlington is the winner, and you guys are all winners actually. And the other one is Christian T. And I don't remember. I don't have that on my other piece of paper. Oh yes, I do. Danville, California. So Larry and Christian, you guys are winners of t-shirt, water bottle. We'll let you pick which one you want. And thank you so much, everybody who donated. Let me refresh the page and just see where we're at. Remember, our goal is to raise $10,000 this week so that we can get it matched. And it's so important to understand. Normally, when we're able to secure a match, it is from one of our a bit more prosperous donors. We don't have any mega wealthy people, but we do have a little bit wealthy few people. And sometimes we're able to tap them and ask them to make an extra pledge that can be matched. But in this case, it was our volunteers and our core, our board members, which we don't have a normal board. We have organizers and people who are movement experienced, not people who are connected to wealthy corporations on our board. So this is regular folks who dug deep and pooled a fund here to match, to create this match for, to ask all the rest of you to support what they've put up. And they're putting in the time, and now they're putting in the money. And so we started off here today, and we raised $3,374 today towards this $10,000 campaign for the year. So, for the week. So thank you, everyone. And
thank you so much. And again, just that right there, our match is funded by the leaders of this organization. We're on the ground doing the work. That's amazing. That is grassroots at our core. And so please tune in again on Friday or share with your friends. We're going to come back at the end of this fundraising match week to do a little bit more celebrations and new stories from a whole new cohort of volunteer leaders and advocates, affiliates from across the country. So please come back then and keep sharing this fabulous opportunity with your friends.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your Monday.
Great show.